What's up, guys? It's Jensen and welcome to another video. So even though the Houston Texans are having a pretty great season this year, not all as well in H-Town right now, because the Houston Texans are a deeply flawed team, and that's why I think that the Houston Texans should be put on upset alert if they make it to the playoffs and they're in the wild card round. Let's start with that defense. That defense, even though it's great last year, it's the number 20th ranked defense right now, and they've lost some major players from that team last year. Trading away Jadeveon Clowney was a huge mistake. They never really got back anything for him, a third-round pick plus a couple extra things, but you look at the impact Jadeveon Clowney had on that team last year, and he was playing at a Pro Bowl level. This guy makes big-time plays in the running game, and while he's not that great of a pass rusher, guys like that matter. Guys who can bottle up running backs, especially when you play in a conference that has a guy like Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. I mean, a running attack like that, a guy like Jadeveon Clowney would have definitely been useful. I mean, he might not have been able to stop a guy like Lamar Jackson, but he definitely would have helped your case if you wanted to defend Lamar Jackson and that team. So losing Jadeveon Clowney is a huge deal. Losing Tyrann Mathieu to the Kansas City Chiefs is a huge deal. This guy was one of the best safeties in the NFL last year, and the value of having a great safety is it actually makes a big time difference. I could tell you as a Bears fan how big of a difference that Eddie Jackson makes for my team, and Tyrann Mathieu makes that same of an impact for whatever team he plays on. So let's not act like that was some sort of small loss. That's a big deal. But the loss that the Houston Texans will suffer from most is the fact that J.J. Watt's out for the rest of the year with that injury. This guy, even though he's not the same pass rusher he used to be, he's still one of the better pass rushers in the league. And all of a sudden, if you take him off that defense and you look at the Houston Texans defense now, and no one really scares you on that team. Yes, there are a couple of nice players on defense, but there isn't anyone who really stands out to you as an X factor, as a guy who you have to stop, like an Aaron Donald or a Khalil Mack. J.J. Watt could have been that guy for the Houston Texans, but he's no longer there. And then you look at the offense, and while it's the number 7 overall offense, don't get fooled because it's a very flawed offense. You look at the offensive line, and even though they got Laremy Tunsil, which I thought was a huge mistake because they gave up a lot of draft equity for him, and you take into account that Laremy Tunsil is good but not great, and you also factor in the fact that they could have probably had a guy like Trent Williams at a cheaper cost, and I think that trading for Laremy Tunsil was a huge mistake, and Deshaun Watson's still getting sacked a lot, more than the average quarterback, so that offensive line, they need to step it up, or else Houston could be seeing an early round exit, and that would not be great for that organization. Especially when you have a talent like Deshaun Watson. It's a shame that he gets beat up in the pocket almost every game. Week after week, it's the same thing. So that offensive line needs to step it up, or else it's a huge problem. And you look at that running game, and it's solid, if unspectacular. I'm really not a fan of their running game. Carlos Hyde, he is good but not great. He's like the NFL equivalent of a Honda Accord. He just pushes along, gets some nice stats, but overall he's not going to really get you to where you need to be. And Duke Johnson, he's more of a receiving threat than a running threat, and that's a problem because their rushing attack stinks. And in the playoffs, you need that balance. Unless you have Patrick Mahomes and you can just pass it 50 times a game, you need to be able to run the ball a little bit, play some smash mouth, especially in the colder weather, and the Houston Texans don't have the personnel right now to do that. And even though they have great wide receivers, it doesn't matter if the offensive line is that bad. How is Deshaun Watson supposed to get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins? How is he supposed to get it to Will Fuller? And those tight ends, probably the worst tight end group in the NFL right now. I mean, they have a couple of nice role players maybe. Maybe they could be the second or third tight end on other teams, but these guys are expected to fill in the number 1 tight end role for Houston, and it's not going well for them. And it's a shame because you look at the talent that Deshaun Watson is, and they should be a threat to make it to the Super Bowl this year. And yet you look at the roster, and they almost have no chance, in my opinion, especially with a guy like Bill O'Brien coaching. I know that he had a couple of spectacular seasons especially that one season where he took that Brian Hoyer-led team and led them to the playoffs. And yet, when you look at it from the past couple of years, ever since they've had Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien has not put them in the best position to succeed, and that's a problem. And you look at that team, and wow, I love Deshaun Watson, and I'll never count out the Houston Texans in a playoff game. When you look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, who should be the number 5 seed, and Josh Allen's playing good ball right now, not really turning it over. They have a solid rushing attack, and that defense is the 3rd best in the NFL right now. And you take all that into account, as well as the fact that the Cleveland Browns could be the 6th seed if Houston were to climb up to the number 3 seed. And I really see the Houston Texans struggling in either of those matchups. And it's a shame. They really need to get Deshaun Watson some help in this offseason, because the team they have right now isn't built to win the Super Bowl. In fact, they're not even built to make it out of the wild card round, and that's a shame. But we'll see how it goes. And I really feel like Deshaun Watson will win the Super Bowl one year, but it's not going to be this year when you look at the team. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be providing you with more NFL and NBA hot takes as the season goes on, and have a good day.